Hi, I'm Paul Marcel. This past week I was resawing this itome. It's going to be used to wrap around a column that's in the back of my Angle Madness project. Now, resawing 12-inch wide board, not really all that hard. I'm not the best resawer in the world, so I can't get these little, 16th inch thick pieces, but I was shooting actually for about 1/8 of an inch for different reasons that it makes it a little easier for me to work with on this project. Now I was taking a 3/4 inch piece of material and I was cutting it into 4 slices. So this is just a hair less than the 1/8 of an inch. But the first 2 cuts came out great. Everything's nice and straight, nice and consistent all the way through. I can put them next to each other. They're nice and smooth going across, as smooth as they're going to be when they're resawing. Then the last cut though, I ended up getting some tapering. And it's a problem that comes up once in a while when I don't pay attention, and that's what happened to me this time. So this is to help resolve that problem for you. Now this is the fence that I use for resawing just because it's nice and tall, so it gives me a lot of good support surface for being able to press against it and keep everything nice and flat. Comparing that to this standard fence that works with my bandsaw. Now where I went wrong was with the camera. After the first cut, I was about to clean the table and I realized, no, somebody had asked me to record something where I do a number of cuts at the table where it starts clean, and then we see what they look like after I'm done, so that we can see how some of the dust collection works as far as chips versus dust, all that stuff. So I thought, oh, I'll leave the dust on here. I'll just clear it out of the way of the board so that it doesn't become a hindrance to the board's motion. Now, the first 2 cuts were fine with that. On the third one, I didn't clear it out. I can see that on the video when I go back and I took a look at it. So what had happened is on this fence, as I pushed the board all the way through, I saw that the taper had formed and I was wondering why. And I had a large pack of dust right here, so it formed almost a chamfer, right? A little 45-degree shelf right here in the corner because dust had gotten in there, got packed, more dust packed in, more dust packed in, more dust packed in. So you could see that the first half of the board was actually consistent, then all of a sudden the taper kicked in. So what can we do to fix that, to make it so at least if you're not being stupid and forget to clear it out, that you have something that's going to help you out? So what I did is I took this fence and I put it on the router table along with a 45-degree chamfer bit. Now, if you're going to do this on a router table, you're going to need to have a carbide bit. Carbide bit can take care of the aluminum. So using the fence to set the depth of the cut, I took very light passes multiple times to basically chamfer a small edge here on this side. So now, when it's down on the table, you can see that there's a shadow line here. You can see that there's basically room for that dust. It could go in there and it could get pushed down. It's got a way out to get out of the way. Now, I didn't do this change to my standard fence since I don't really resaw on that one too often. The reason I don't want it on my standard fence is because a lot of times I use very thin stock here on the bandsaw, and then this could mess up the registration of that thin stock as it presses against it. So I only do it on the Resaw-Fence. Now, if you're going to be cutting it on your router table, set your router bit to a slow speed. I use the fence to set the amount of cut that I would take, so it could be very, very light. And then afterwards, just hit it with a sanding block with like 120. It just gets rid of any of the nibs. Make sure that there's no burr on this edge here, and you're good to go. So it's a very simple change that you can make if you already have a Resaw-Fence. If you have a homemade one that's made out of wood, even easier. Just run it through that table really fast. Now, what if you don't have a chamfer bit or you don't have a router table? I would not do this handheld. Maybe you can. I don't know. It does have a lot of pushback on you as you're pushing it through, even on the router table. Another option that you would have is if you're using a carbide tooth blade, that you could set it to a bevel on the table saw and you could take a light pass on the edge here. So go pretty light on that and go through. And obviously if you're using a stop, disengage the brake. So hopefully that'll help you out to eliminate some taper. Now where I went wrong was with the camera. All my mistakes are caused by the camera.